Hello everybody, welcome back to channel, and this my check-in for the month of September. I know September is just finishing, but because I get paid mid-month, this is actually my mid-month check-in. Now I was hoping to have some slightly more positive news to update you with, but unfortunately my relationship with the world's worst bank is involuntarily continuing. So for those of you who might not know the story, if you're new here, I had a credit card with my original bank, HSBC, and the HSBC in the Middle East merged with Sohar International, who are a terrible bank, and it led to me being moved over to the Sohar International credit card. And now HSBC have pulled out of the Middle East. Now, because I also have a HSBC account in the UK, I was able to transfer money instantly. It was very convenient having their account. And I was quite sad to lose it, to be honest, but I'm having a big problem with the credit card that's attached to that account. When I arrived in the Middle East, I just finished paying off most of my debt. I didn't want a credit card, but I didn't have any savings because I had paid off my debt. So I got it just in case. But I checked with them when I got it, oh, this is fee-free, right? I don't have to pay to keep it open. They said no. And in my paperwork, the very first thing is no fees for life. When I moved over to Sohar, I was moved onto a product that wasn't like for like. They want to charge 60 Riyal a year to keep the card open. I decided I wanted to close it. So not the best thing, but not really a big deal. I don't need the credit card anymore. I've got a few more savings in place. Just get it closed. However, turns out in order to close it, they put a hold in my debit card of the entire amount that is chargeable to the credit card. So my limit on my credit card is 1,000 Riyal, which is about £2,000, which is about $2,300. I don't even know what the exchange rate is now. Maybe 2,500, who the hell knows? But anyway, it means that they would take that much money from me and they put a hold to make sure that there were no payments that hadn't been cleared before I tried to close it, which I kind of get the logic of, but it's going to be 45 working days with this hold. That is a very long time and is a big portion of my salary. My monthly salary is 1,300. So the idea of having 1,000 Riyal held from me just was going to be quite bad. But I did decide, okay, well, I'll go and get the credit limit lowered. And then that way the hold on my account will be less. Now, I haven't exactly lost time, although this whole experience has been frustrating, because I wouldn't have been able to close my account anyway. I would have had to build up the savings to do it, which sounds crazy that I'd have to save in order to close a bank account. So I think I updated you last time I did one of these or some video at some point that I had gone to the mall where there's one branch in the entirety of the city that stays open past 2 p.m. And so I went to that branch and I said, okay, I would like to lower my credit limit from 1,000 to 500. He took the paperwork and he was like, yep, no problem. Probably 3 days, inshallah. And that was the end of that. I came home. Now, I did think 3 days might be slightly ambitious, especially as he said, oh, we just need to email the head office because they don't do it in branch. And I was like, communication, I'll give it some time. I waited 2 weeks. After 2 weeks, I call the helpline and I say, hey there, you're just their phone services. And I say, hey there, I explain the situation. This hasn't moved on. I haven't seen a lowering of my limit. Could you possibly raise, it's a complaint, but it's not a complaint. I've explained that before, but could you raise the issue so that it could get escalated to a team that can fix this? Because I don't know why it's taking so long. They were like, yeah, no problem. We'll send this to the team. They should resolve it this week. Perfect. No, it's longer than I wanted, but not a big deal. Except, it was a big deal. So I still don't hear anything after that phone call. And I call them and say, hey, on the 19th, and I say, hey there, I went to the branch, this is the situation. I called you, this was the situation. Why hasn't this been resolved? And they say, hey, could we have your complaint number? And I'm like, what complaint number? Because I never received an SMS. I didn't realize I was supposed to, because it turns out whoever answered my call last time did not log it the way he was supposed to, and it wasn't sent, or it was sent and then there was no reply and they just didn't follow it up, something. So the last week has just been a complete hold waste of time. Nothing's happened. So that's on the 19th. I've called them back and I'm like, excuse me, they log the complaint again. I get an SMS while I'm on the phone with him, because I'm not hanging up until I do, with my complaint number. And they're like, okay, inshallah this week. Sorry about that. And I'm like, okay, well, at least it's this week. We'll get it sorted. On Tuesday, I receive a text message saying, hey, your issue has been resolved. Good job. You know, like case closed, whatever. And I'm suspicious, and I check my account, and the account is still showing 1,000 Riyal limit. And I was so annoyed about it, I called them in my free period at work. I was like, absolutely not. And they say to me, oh, no. Everything kind of ratifies at 8 o'clock. I guess that's when everything kind of flips over to the next day. So give it till after 8 p.m. and then if there's any problems, call us again tomorrow. That, I know now, complete lie. So I don't look at 8 p.m. because I'm like, if it doesn't work, I'm going to be angry, and I'm going to be angry all night, and I won't be able to get hold of them. So I check the next day just to give them enough time. They can't be like, oh no, inshallah, another hour. Nothing changes. I call them on the 26th. That's 2 days ago now. The guy on the end of the phone tells me, this is the first time I have heard this in this whole saga, tells me, oh no, when you've got this type of credit card, because they give you the offer of which kind of credit card you have based on the salary you have. And they're like, with this type of credit card, you can't lower it below 1,000. So you have to apply for a new card. I'm sorry, what? And at this point, I don't actually know what that means for me. And I'm like, what? One, why wasn't I told that in the 4 or 5 weeks and the 4 phone calls I've done with you? Why is this the first time I'm getting that information? Secondly, he took all my details while I was in branch. Does that mean that he made that application for me? Like, I've been on this path for a long time. Are you saying I have to go get the card, but it's I don't understand where we are in this process. Am I not in this process? What's going on? And he's like, I can send an email to the branch. I'm like, what good will that do us, sir? Like, I'm going to pop in a taxi, pay, because it's quite far away, pay the money to go get there so they can tell me, oh, inshallah, we're wrong. You know? Like, are you kidding me? No, what's that going to do? And I'm like, I don't think he can make the application for me, or has the application been made? Who the knows at this point? Who knows? But I'm angry because it's ridiculous, you know? And I say to him, well, what's the point? You're not going to be able to do anything like today, tomorrow, because this weekend is actually the Prophet Muhammad's birthday. So it's a national holiday. And at the weekend, they don't do anything. So like the helpline is open for very basic things, but they're not going to be processing anything over the weekend. So like today is the public holiday, we've got the whole weekend. Then they'll have a day or two where they're shifting through their emails to try and figure out what they missed in the last 3 days. They're not even going to process this email for another week, and then it's whatever happens next. And I'm on this phone with this guy and I'm like, you cannot tell me you're going to be able to do anything about this today. You cannot tell me I will not believe you. And he's like, yeah, no, I'll be honest with you. It's going to take time. It's issuing of a new card. We have to send it to the thing. And I'm like, I don't want a new card. I don't want the card I have. I don't want a new card. Because then what happens with this card? I get a new card and then I still have to go through the closure process. You know that's what would be what it was. Oh, what an effing mess. So I have this conversation with the dude, and it's not the dude's fault. Yeah, he is trying to do his job. He was just unfortunately the person who got assigned this call. And I do acknowledge that, and I'm trying not to be rude to him. But the service, I'm like, the people who have dealt with me have all been very polite and very kind. But the service has been appalling. Nothing I have tried to do has been possible. I can't remember if I told you I tried to transfer some money home. Maybe I did when I set up this budget. I put some money aside for the closure cost of the credit card, which we still haven't even gotten to at this point. And then I had a little bit left and I sent some home. Like that's where we were when I set up my budget. And the Swift code I needed to send the money home, their app wouldn't recognize. Now, there's no problem with the code. I transferred the money over to my other bank account here. They recognized the code straight away and I used their service, which is why I want to use that bank. But it is utterly ridiculous that any single thing I have tried to do or anyone else has tried to do in this entire process has been such an absolute balls up. No service I have tried with them so far has been a smooth or timely process. Finally, I lose my rag and I go, nope, it is pointless sending this email. The email is going to achieve nothing other than take more of my time, more of my energy, and more of my money. I'm not doing this. We'll just cancel the whole thing because I get paid in another 2 weeks. That's why it's the mid-month check-in. So in 2 weeks, I'll have to take, because when I'll be working with 1,000 Rial, I'll have to take another 500 Rial or 600 Rial, I can't remember exactly how much, out of my paycheck next month, which means I won't be able to send money home again. And we'll just have to have the whole hold put on my card because I cannot deal with them anymore. It is killing me. I don't know how they have survived as a financial institution, but Jesus Christ, they are terrible. So that's the plan right now. So I'm still quite angry about it. I thought it's been a couple of days. I thought I was calm enough just to be able to go through the story quite succinctly, but apparently not. It's not how I'm built. So when I get paid, which will be at some point, I don't know when it falls on the calendar, but like 12th, 13th, 14th, that kind of time. When I get paid, I'll go to my local branch. I'll shut down the whole thing. I'll have them put the whole hold on. I'll get everything transferred over to my new bank. I'll get all the paperwork, but it's going to be multiple visits to the branch. Because I've got to go, I've got to shut down the credit card. That's one visit. Then I've got to go and I've got to pick up the letter saying, oh, they're shutting down their account. That's a second visit. Then I've got to go when the credit card hold is cleared to sort that out and then receive the money back so that I can close my debit account. It's utterly ridiculous. I'm going to see if I can get the money that's put on hold deposited into my other account so that I don't have to go back. But to be honest, I'm not entirely trusting of the fact that they will do that correctly. So it may not even be worth asking that question. Just leave the account open, put it into my account, and just get the letter allowing me to have my salary deposited into my other bank because, God, I am sick of dealing with them. And I'm going to have to miss work to have to do this because the banks are open from like 8 or 9 till 2. And I work from 7:30 to 3:30. So that's how this month has gone. It's just filled with rage and incompetence, which I'm sure is the calming, cozy content that you are clicking into my budget for. Congratulations, you've found this. But anyway, let's get into my numbers and what kind of knock-on effect this is going to have. And you can see what I paid this month. I did end up finding a bit more money, and by finding, I mean not just down the couch. I got paid by YouTube and was able to put some money in places that I had been too scared to account for at the beginning of the month. And the same will have to happen next month as well. I'll just have to assume I can't do any and then see what I've got left. But let's get into those numbers.
All right, so let's take a look at the budget and how it was looking. You can see from the income I had the rollover I had kept from my bonus, which seems a generation ago now. And I kept that originally for the credit card. I'm going to do the same thing next month. I'm going to roll the money over, but we'll talk about that in a second. So for my fixed bills, my home internet did go down to 29. I put 15 on my electricity, and so far it's holding up, but we'll see if it keeps going for the rest of the month. I might end up putting an extra 5 on there, but my electricity use has been down a little. Or if not down, it's working less hard because the temperature has eased off a little bit. My cleaner got 20 Rial and I did top up my phone by 10 Rial, so I've got a bit of money in that account. For my variable expenses, my groceries are currently sitting at 85 spent. That should be fine. I believe I've got groceries for another couple of weeks, but I do have enough there to be able to do an extra grocery trip, so it's really not a problem. I'm on track for that. Transport, I'm absolutely fine on. I've mostly been taking rides with my friends when we've gone out, but I haven't gone out very much. It's been very busy beginning of term. I've taken a couple of taxis, but nothing too serious. I'm well within my limits. School, I budgeted 30. I've spent 10 so far, but I do have a science experiment next week, so I might need to get some supplies. But other than that, it's going well. Beauty and health is on track. I've got about 4 real left in there. I might end up having to buy one more bit of medicine, but I think I've got enough to get me through the month. And if I do end up buying it, it should fit into that amount, so it's okay. Miss Combe, nothing to report really. My spending has been within my limits. And clothing, I got very close to using it up, but I went to M&S. I got a couple of tops that were on sale and a pair of trousers. So that used up my clothing budget for this month, but it was very much needed. So glad I did it. And then we have the credit card hold. This one is in red. It's basically what I was discussing in the intro to the video. I had initially thought that my credit card was going to go down to 500, which meant that because they can hold anything from 100% to 150%, that was going to be 750 real plus the 25 real charge if they charge me for it. So I kept this. Now, based on that, I think I'm going to have to save about 500 from next month's salary. So I'm going to roll this over. I've put it as spent, just so I could see this number here and how much I've got left in my day-to-day budget. I haven't actually spent it. It will go into my income box next month as additional income because it will be left over, and I'll take some more money out. So I've currently got about 91 real left in my budget for the month. And I'm not foreseeing any problems with that, but knock wood. So let's move over to my home section. Now, initially I sent home 1,400, just over, and then I got paid. I can't remember exactly what I did. It got a bit confusing, but it was YouTube and something else. And I ended up getting paid about 720, which upped my income. But when I made the budget, I hadn't received the money yet. And I was a little scared to allocate money just in case I ended up needing it for something else, because I had much less going over to the UK this time around. So initially, I funded my pension and my future fund down here, but I put 0 in everything else. And you can see that the fixed bills, I didn't put anything in emergency fund, and I didn't put anything in any of my sinking funds. But when we go to the actual cost, I did end up skipping on the emergency fund, even though technically I could have put money in there. I do have a little over 3,000 in there right now. I didn't feel it was urgent. I don't mind the emergency fund growing slowly, but I am trying to focus any extra money I have on the future. I was, if you remember, actually hoping that a payment from the tax office was going to come through. They were going to send me, I think it was 830 something, because I made an overpayment and they had to return it. I wasn't really expecting it to be with me by now, but there was a chance it could have been. However, it hasn't come through. It's okay because the YouTube money allowed me to do a little bit more with my stuff this month, but it does mean that it will probably come through in next month's, which will be helpful because now I'm going to have the hold for a while. So with my other additional income, I ended up putting 300 in travel, which was good. I ended up putting 200 in tax. That was the only sinking fund that I felt bad about not putting money in. So I'm glad I managed to this month. I put 33 in home and tech, which I realize is a weird number, but it got me to a round balance of 200. I would like to put another 100 in there so that I've just got that fund fully funded for next month, but it's not urgent. And I put 50 into gifts and Christmas because I am going to start shopping soon. And I thought it doesn't hurt to have a little bit extra in there. I've got about 150 buffer in my account, so I'm not going to put more in because I'd like to keep some cash just in case. But that's how my month ended up looking. So on one hand, it's not so bad because a lot of the things that I didn't think I was going to be able to pay into, I got to. But on the other, next month is looking quite sparse for the same reasons, just like this one did. And we'll see that in my next month's setup. If I receive news or notification on the tax payment, I will let you know because that would be really timely. And that's really what I'm hoping for. But it might not happen and I'm prepared for it to not happen. Also, I feel like I'm thinking about the credit card hold as money I'm losing. I'm not losing it. It's just not going to be available to me for a couple of months. So I will get it back at some point and then I'll be able to send larger payments back. It's just a bit frustrating now because for my travel, for example, I have a holiday coming up in October and I was debating maybe traveling somewhere, but with that money that I'm going to need to put on hold because I don't know the exact amount it's going to be, if it's going to be 100%, if it's going to be 150%. I'm just not comfortable putting that amount of money into something that is not a need at the moment. So I'm probably going to skip out and not travel in October. I hadn't 100% decided I was definitely going to, but it feels different to have that choice taken away from you, you know? So that's a shame, but that's just what I feel comfortable doing at the moment.
And there we have it. So there is a chance, not a guarantee, that by the time I see you next for my setup of next month's budget, that I might have had a chance to go to the bank. I'm not overly hopeful, but I might have been able to do this, and we can just continue this little journey through the quarter. What kills me is my bank at home, they have a button where I can request increases and decreases in my credit limit literally in the app. I don't have to even leave my house. How has this been so hard? Tell me. I have worked. I wanted to say I have lived, but worked as well, hence the point. I've lived in a lot of countries and I've had a lot of different bank accounts, and some of them have been better, some of them have been worse, some of them have been difficult or less accessible. China was pretty hard, but this has just been appalling. This is hands down, just for sheer incompetence, this has been the worst I've ever had. So let's get me changed over as fast as possible. Keep all your fingers and toes crossed for me, because God knows what will happen next to stop it, but I don't believe it's going to be easy. All right, everyone, thank you very much for your attention, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye.